Hallelujah. Giving, hallelujah. Giving the highest praise. Hallelujah. Giving the highest praise. Hallelujah. Giving the highest praise. In the morning when I wake up, in the night when I wake up, I will lift up my voice to heaven and give you the highest praise. Hallelujah to my King. Hallelujah to my Father. Hallelujah to my Jesus. I bow before the throne. When I look at all the wonder and I see all the creation, the beauty of the universe, you never, never change. You never, never lie. You never, never change. You never, never change. Hallelujah to my Jesus. Hallelujah. 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 Hey, hey. Hallelujah. Giving, hallelujah. Giving the highest praise. Hallelujah. Giving the highest praise. Hallelujah. Giving the highest praise.
Come let's pray, Jehovah. Come let's worship Jehovah. He deserves the praise. Come let's praise Him. He deserves everything. Oh, the worshiping. Oh, He gave me life. I will praise His name. I'm here to praise my God, oh, because He gave me life. Come celebrate, come jubilate, come and worship Him. He deserves the praise. Hallelujah, giving the higher praise. Hallelujah, giving the higher praise.
Hallelujah, giving the highest, giving, hallelujah, giving the highest praise. Hallelujah, giving the highest praise. Yeah. Hallelujah, giving the highest praise. Ooh, hallelujah, oh yeah, yeah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah to my Jesus. Hey, hallelujah. Sing praises to Jehovah. Lift up your hands and worship. Lift up your voice and pray. Hallelujah. I lift up my life for Jesus. I will worship you, Yahweh, Yahweh. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah to Jesus.
Good evening, folks. We want to welcome all of our viewers and listeners across the globe. Thank you for sharing your evening with us. And we are here to have a conversation this evening, as usual. I am Alphonso Zean Soe of the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. We want to welcome all our viewers and listeners. Thank you so much for joining us here this evening. Okay, we want to welcome you and let's see. Okay, we got our man here. Gus Young is our guy based in the southeastern side, but he's in Liberia. So just bear with us in this current situation. That let me see. Let me just bring him in here. It's pretty late in Liberia, and not Yon. Hopefully Sissy and Pat George going to be joining us. Man, welcome to Morovia, eh?
Yes, sir. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
All right. We understand that's the situation. That's the beauty of Liberia. So the people they will know. Okay. Good evening, Yonten. How you doing?
Well, I'd like to say good evening to you, Mr. Soul, and our many audience who are following the broadcast online and through the means of other radio stations in other parts of Liberia. I'm honored to join the conversation tonight. It's been a little while now
Yeah.
due to the fluctuation of the network, especially in southeastern Liberia, and some other engagements that actually prevented me from being a part of our regular show or duties. But I'm good. I'm so happy tonight to be on the show, especially that I'm in the nation's capital.
Okay. In the nation's capital. But let's do a little bit backtracking here. How is the southeastern side politically and all that is going on? We know Morovia. We will hopefully be getting waiting for a call from inside Lofa County. A lot of news is coming from there, so we're going to be getting to that as well. But how is the southeastern side? Is the politics of today, is it been heavily discussed there, or you guys are just entangled with the bad rules?
Well, that's part of the prevailing situation about deplorable road conditions. There are other things just as happening in Montserrat and other counties. In the urban areas, definitely in the rural area too, there are similar discussions and activities and things happening. I don't know if you can see me clearer. Am I okay?
Well, I don't know whether you have any other extra thing there to provide like that. We appreciate if you want to do that, but I know Morovia why it is, so I don't want to push you against the wall to say make you bring more light. But I know it's a little after 12 a.m., so that is understandable as well. So, well, you want to make a judgment?
No, let's speak more about the road condition.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Let's look at the role. What is the latest? What is being done there? We're going to come
well,
to politics
the
later
road,
on and to get some information here. Mhm.
yeah, for the southeast, honestly, the road that we've been talking about it some time ago. Currently, Town right now has quota part of River G, so we can say that the quota actually is from Maryland County straight to Town in River G, and the guys are trying to pass from Town and to come onwards to Canwecan direction, but they are still within the vicinity of Town. And so far, part of Grand Crew, specifically in Battlefield, the connection project, I mean, the road construction project has
Mhm.
started in Grand Crew, specifically in Barclayville. But the guys only put the quota and try to compress it better with the clay so that subsequently they will start to put the quota there. From Canwecan to come to, there are two Kanwekens. They got the Kitipo Kanweken and a smaller one. So the smaller part of Kanweken that is closer to the Grand Juda South now, that whole area all the way to Putu or Tiamata or Penoken, the road is actually bad. In fact, I traveled with motorbike from Maryland straight to Montserrat because riding a transport bike or private bike from Maryland to come to Zweju, Ganta, there are several issues where you're going to keep your motorbike. So, by the special grace of God, I got my personal motorbike. So, I managed to do some servicing and get set for the road. I started like 5 a.m. and it was a serious, serious challenge for me from Maryland County, 5 a.m. I tell you, I had to reach to Zweju somewhere around 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. Can you imagine? So it means that the road is actually bad. From Maryland to Fishtown is less than 2 hours, 30 minutes. For those that really know how to ride motorbike and they can ride for at most 2 hours. People like me trying to just manage and do a riding safely is about 2 hours, 30 minutes from Maryland straight to Fishtown. So I started with that motorbike from Maryland straight to Virgil around 5, 6 o'clock. The next time I slept in Zweju 2 nights, and the following day I pick up from Zweju to Ganta. I was in Ganta from in the morning 5 a.m. to Ganta. I was in Ganta around 3:35, something like that.
You left
So I
Zwaju
started from
5
Zedru to
Ganta, what, 5 something you said? Oh, no, 3?
from 5 a.m. and I arrived in Ganta itself between 3:30. Now in Zedru, there are lots of pump holes from Grand Jida itself. Lots of pump holes from Grand Jida itself coming to Tapeta, and from Tapeta coming to itself now. The road actually okay. In fact, part of that area from Tapeta to Saclipie, the guys have started working, putting a quota there. So the government is actually trying her best concerning road connectivity, but there is a serious need and major concern being raised by Southeasterners that the government needs to do her best to ensure that at least the road from Kanta to Fishtown should be completed because our people have been struggling for so long.
All right, hold on
Yeah.
1 second. Let me just bring in our man here. Been helping out here. Mr. Sisse is based in Minnesota and is monitoring. A lot of news is popping up here. I'm waiting to get our guy based in Colahome. Yeah, there's you see him. Sisse is there. Good evening. If you can just elevate your camera a little bit because you look at the balance. Okay,
This way or this way?
just a little bit proper. Okay, perfect. It's good. It's good right there. If we need to change the balance, we can do that. Not a big deal. Okay. Good evening and welcome.
Thank you. How are you doing?
Oh, number. Are you still? I'm quite sure you're 247 checking what is going on back home there. It's interesting, but it looks like the ice is about to melt. We're waiting to see what is here. But here we have our own correspondent base in the southeastern side of Maryland. Is also in Morovia. We just get good to get a pic of what is also happening. We don't want to drown ourselves with just Morovia and a bulk of the county. I would say alienated because of bad road conditions and politicians just having good time in Morovia and its environment. I don't know. So, Gus, you are there. What are the people, what are they saying with respect to this role here? I know it's an old song, it's an old thing we have talked about over and over. How are people managing, especially the people that sick people? You can't be sick and get on a motorbike. I mean, is that I was there like less than 2 months ago, and I saw that
People have died
it's
because of bad road condition. Because of bad road condition, there have been several victims in southeastern Liberia. People have died because of bad road condition. A couple of months ago, like 3 months ago, 2, 3 months ago, specifically in Refugee, after fish time going to come again, I'm told that in fact was reported by some from fish town and they who was pregnant and trying to make a way for.
All right. I think your reception now is getting a little bit, we're experiencing the real welcome to Morovia, Liberia there. Okay, let me get him over here a little bit here. Okay, I know we want to come to the main subject matter here because news is all about current events. That's why it is, but we tend not to forget to see what is unfolding behind us. This issue of the southeast side, the road, we have, I think, 5 or 6 counties. I don't know why this thing here is so much overdue, why priorities is not set in place, because the more roads you have, roads accessible, it decreases the economic burdens. People move from one place to another. You talk about people even going back to the soil. Where will vendors take their crops? If they even want to do their cocoa, coffee, and vegetable, how many bags that you alone can put on your head from Grand Jida to Ganta or from Sano to Zedru or Maryland and all around it, getting on a motorbike? So think about that. People that are sick, how are they managing survival the fittest? Unmute your microphone.
And sadly though, Mr. Soe, the problem I think it's gotten quite exacerbated in the last 17 years. 12 years under the Unity Party government, the last 5 years under the current government, is that my daughter.
Yeah, okay. Just settle it and then you can come. All right. Okay, folks, just bear with us. We are getting some information. We're just waiting here. Our correspondent is going to be getting to us. He works for the local radio stations in Lofa as well. It seems to me that some sort of jubilation or something somewhere is, but we cannot confirm that. We are going to hold our peace until it is official. But it's getting to the point. Okay, let me bring in our guy. He's back with us here. He says, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so like I was saying, right, the issue of roads, I think people have this thing, the last two administrations, I mean, three now, because Ellen had two, and now George Weah's one that is about to end. I've had this thing backwards. Development follow roads. Everywhere you build a road, people will come. You know, you and I live in these United States. You see that when there are farmlands where you have slow traffic, you don't have a lot of builders moving in there. The minute you put an interstate, you start to see buildings popping up, businesses popping up, because the economy follows the roads. You were just alluding to the issue of, you know, people always say, oh, Liberia, we need to go back to agriculture, we need to do agriculture. Well, if people are planting their crops and their food and they can't get it to the market, then what incentive do they have to continue to do that? That's why we got a cluster in Monrovia. You know, just taking that from the southeast, for example, just taking it back to Lofa County, where I'm from. I remember people used to harvest, like we would plant, my grandparents would plant peppers and billabong and all these things, and we harvest them. But you will stand longer time on the roads waiting for vehicles to take those things to Monrovia, and sometimes you get stuck in the mud. And so by the time you get those things to Monrovia, they're already ripened, they've already rotten, and they lose their values. The same thing was happening with bananas and plantains. And so when people invest their hard labor into those things, but there's no way for them to get into the market on time to be able to reap a higher reward on it, then it discourages people from doing that. And the correspondent, when I read him, I was talking about the issue of healthcare, right? If you got bad roads, it affects healthcare delivery. And he's just talking about people who have died because of bad road conditions. I know of family members of mine who died en route to hospitals because the roads were bad. And so a distance that normally should take you by 10 minutes in car, sometimes take you an hour. And if you have an emergency, that's 15 minutes you don't have.
So how long should we have this sort of conversations? Politicians, southeastern side, leadership, or what is lacking? Is it lack of priority or insensitivity, or what is the government? What is government? Not just only the George Weah government, the past government. For God's sake, what is lacking? I don't get it.
I think one thing though, and there might be a plethora of reasons why this thing is happening, but I think one reason is our lawmakers don't get to live in the places that they represent. Therefore, they are not traveling every day on those roads like their people. And because of that, they are removed from the sufferings of the people. And so it is easy and it's possible for them to put them somewhere different in their psyche. Versus if they were driving on those roads and getting stuck in those mud and not making it to plenary and not making it to meetings and not making it to confirmation hearings, getting stuck for days in the mud like the people, I truly believe there will be some pressure behind it. But we have to be fair to George Weah, to the CDC administration. They did not start this thing. This has been happening for the longest time. Right. I remember, we read back in school that Tuber had this idea of farm to market road, like we have in the United States. You got all these FM farm to market roads. Well, all of those ideas died when he died. And so ever since then, successive governments have just failed to do that. I remember when I was a little kid, we used to have this. There used to be this thing on TV. You got the Ganta Hapo Highway project, right? I think that was during Samuel Doe's time.
Samuel
And that project never went anywhere. And then they move on to the Banga Menikoma Highway project that was supposed to go through Lofa County all the way on to Guinea. That never happened. The one thing that happened, I guess, for sure, was the Babangida Highway that completed, which is a good thing because that highway stayed there serving the people in Bomi and Kibma. But 12 years of Unity Party, 5 years of CDC, we still have the same story where people getting stuck in the mud. And the sad thing is there was a referendum, there was a ballot referendum idea that got defeated, that these politicians were trying to move elections to dry season, right? Because they were arguing that it's difficult for people to vote during rainy season. Well, they were looking at the difficulty on their part as politicians because it's difficult for them to campaign. They have to go get stuck in the mud. But those people who you think it's difficult for them to
who are there they range
year round.
They not even care about them.
It's difficult for them to go to school during the rainy season. It's difficult for them to go on their farms during the rainy season. It's difficult for them to go to hospitals during the rainy season. And you're only concerned that it's difficult for them to vote during rainy season. And I was really glad that referendum ballot initiative failed miserably because that was just selfish on the part of the politicians who proposed that.
Should we just blame the politician, or we should hold ourselves responsible as well?
Well, Mr. Soe, I think is two-pronged, but I say it's not equivalent because when people vote, they vote on promises people make to them, and sadly, when you vote, it's almost like you're giving a power of attorney to somebody and say act on my behalf for the next, in the case of Liberia, Senator 9 years. Representative 6 years. So I give you 6 years of my life and say, make decisions on behalf of me and my children and my family for the next 6 years if you're a representative, or for the next 9 years if you're a senator. And so when people go, and our people really don't have access to information to be able to really critique and analyze the choices they're making. You and I were just having this conversation about journalists not even pushing back against politicians when they make statements, not having follow-up statements, and and so the people depend on everybody to be able to critique and analyze and give fair and balanced information to enable them make sound decisions. But when talking heads like I am one now sit on these platforms and they're not either A, knowledgeable, or B, they're not authentic, and they're colored by partisanship, then it creates a problem for the people in the villages to make decisions. Because now they get confused. And so any Tom, Dick, or Harry could come and give them 5 cups of rice, and they mortgage their children's future for 5 cups of rice.
So what we call financial violence in the world of politics has influenced the actual concept or true meaning of democracy, because or is because of poverty. And it is difficult to also blame, because just put yourself in that shoe. You get 5 children, 3 women, the other 2 somewhere they're pregnant, and somebody coming to you, you don't even know how to check the kids. Somebody not going to school barefooted, no slipper, nothing. And this politician comes to you and say, hey, my man, your house leaking. You're taking how to go in the swamp to go get, pantage. I believe you're a countryman son like myself. Yep. Yeah, to go get it. And the man bringing a fresh bonnet of zinc to put roof over your head. Tell me in this world, how can that man vote? Your whole household and family.
It's facts.
That man to do your part.
That's facts, and that's why I said it's really difficult to hold the voter that much accountable, right? Even us, we made the same mistake with when I say us, I'm from Zolowo, and it is the same place that Sumo Kupi is from. The last time he got elected as senator, and the people of Zolowo and the people of Zaza district, they pushed him so hard, and then they were campaigning so hard for him based on promises. He failed those people miserably, so all the people were left with is voters' remorse. And you can so the only thing our people got is to say, oh, we're not doing next time. But you're not doing next time. You've already given 9 years. You've already given 6 years. And you see how our people came back to pay back on a former senator who is running and could not garner what 3,000 votes. You were there for 9 years and you couldn't get 3,000 votes. That's how the people push back. But I think, and I keep telling people, is that we have to get back as a nation to teaching civics and empowering our people on what their responsibilities are, because citizenships come with rights and responsibilities. But sadly, in our country, we're more about the rights and less about the responsibilities, because it is the responsibility of an informed citizenry to vote in place people who will make informed decisions for everybody. It is the right, the responsibility of the citizenry to petition their government and to make sure that they hold them accountable. But we don't do that. You know, we only exercise that one right to vote, and then thereafter we become subservient and we become beggars at the tables of people that we elect.
Okay, you know, yeah, you know the tradition for the little time we've been here. We always like to take the views and comment, because these are the people for the business we assemble here to have this sort of conversation. So their views and comments, as long as in the civil context, it matters. This is what built Willie see. So whose decision is that then? That's a very controversial or sort of a it's a loaded question there. So who decision?
Well, and that's what I keep saying, right? At the end of the day, though, civically, it is the decision of the citizenry. But the decision is being coerced. And you just talk about the cash violence in politics. The decision is being coerced by the underlying poverty, by the underlying inequity. When a representative or a senator will say, I will come and build school for your people. Well, what that suggests is that there has been this need created, that people need their children to go to school. But people are telling them that this is a quid pro quo situation. You give me your votes and I give you school.
That's sort of battle. Give me the money.
So when we can get away from that, when we can get our people mindset shifted from that and say it is not the responsibility of a lawmaker to build your roads, to bring yellow machines and build your roads. It is the responsibility of your lawmaker to make sure that that is in the budget, to advocate for that to be in the budget for public works to build your roads. And it is not a responsibility of your lawmaker to build your clinics. They should advocate for it so that the government can build it and sustain it.
They are using this sort of they are using this, and unfortunately, and so it makes it difficult. So if you live from here and go and tell them, you talk to them, say, yeah, okay, say, we know you, your man from Lofa, your pa from Lofa, you not all the thing you learn, all the book in America about what you say. And when a laboratory asks you what you say, then how you doing business, there's a deeper part of this question here. And to the point that you mentioned, just recently I was in Liberia, and then one of my own country lawmakers extended me the invitation. Oh, Mr. Soe, can you get on a trip with us to go Grand Guinea? I say, for what? I have my own plan. I've gone there for something. So I said, for what? But more or less, it was a campaign thing. I said, but no. So I asked, how are you going? If you need a coverage, we can assign a correspondent, and you will show the cost. But in fact, you already have your plan. I'm sure it was not an overnight plan. You purpose to go maybe a month or so. That's not something. And then you're telling me tomorrow. And he said, oh, man, but anything we'll go by air. I said, what? You going to Grand Guinea by air? So how many of your people can afford to go? And this is the problem. This is the problem. And I don't see this going away because, and one of the things that is so dangerous now, all the politicians, they have media outlet. So they have managed to get hold of the communication aspect, create those sort of soundbite, falsehood, innuendos, subliminal messages, and all have been saturated. So as the result, they have a choice to go where they think they're going to have a free pass and they just want to sing their song, no choir, no drum or nothing. I know lead vocalists, but they alone there, they're going to sing and nobody going to ask them questions. So this is dangerous for the country. So we will not be able to hold people accountable because why? These people will not come to an outlet where they're going to be faced to ask questions, where they're going to follow up. And again, poverty, there's some of our colleagues, it's difficult because they work for this politician. Do you think when some person work for, but what kind of question they're going to ask? Everything just they will be trained here. Okay, Amos George here. Let me just bring in on our man from Atlanta, Georgia. Amos George, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Soe, and good evening, Cece.
How are you doing, Uncle?
They've been having a hectic day. Sleep carry him because we're supposed to get some latest updates. Yeah, just arrived. Call home from the election headquarters. Yeah, let's see. We'll still give time to see. Yeah. So this is it. How? And they are building media institution. So if you want to have like a hard now to get an independent network, because
and that's the point though, Mr. Soe, because and that's why I usually flinch when politicians talk about conflict of interest and they want to talk about it with respect to the executive. These politicians that have their own radio stations and their own network and their own TV, they make it difficult, they crowd the space so that independent networks find it difficult to get access to them. And if you don't have access to them, you don't have access to be able to critique whatever news come out of their outlets, right? And so they grant these interviews to other journalists that they own or that are favorable to them, or media houses that they own or that are favorable to them. And so they make it very difficult for independent media to exist in their space, because they're either going to get you with regulations and all of these, licensing and everything, or they're going to get you by saying, well, there's somewhat of a quasi-blockade. So they don't give you access. And if they don't give you access, if you're in the media business, news is currency. And if you don't have that currency, then it becomes difficult. And so that is how these people have managed to be able to create the situation where they choose their voters now instead of the voters choosing them. And that has to do with the way the media landscape is, but it also has to do with the fact that people allow people to truck people everywhere in the country to vote. And so I, as a citizen living in Monrovia, can decide to go and run for Zaza district that I don't own a home in. I've never been in the last 10 years, but I can truck people from Monrovia to Zaza, or I can truck people from Banga to Zaza to register and vote for me. So I pick people to go and vote for me that don't live in the area that I'm being elected to represent. And that is corruption to the core, because what will somebody from Monrovia know about the need of the people in Zaza that I've just trucked from Monrovia to Zaza to vote for me?
Okay, let us come, Amos George. Let me open you up with this loaded point of view here. This is what Mr. Solomon Manu Moen, or Solo, if you were to call you, good evening, welcome. Well, comments. You guys can get you're free to express yourself. This is what Solo is saying here. Gentlemen, you are overstating your points and not actually understanding what election means. There we go. Even in the West, as we are talking about America now, big money guarantees possible to win. This is why parties raise substantial money to finance their campaign. It is not cash violence. So the voting of Trump in the past is due to cash violence or people persuasion. There are two different things we are talking about.
Can I respond to that?
Yeah, the parties here, they don't have something, but go ahead first.
But here's the thing. So I can speak to this because I've contested elections in this country. I was a Democratic endorsed candidate twice, one for school board and one for city council. And yes, we do raise money. The parties do raise money. But that is why you have something in America called the campaign finance reform. Remember the late Senator McCain worked on that because they felt like dark money coming into the campaign was wrong.
Money coming has been regulated.
Even right now, they start talking about trying to get out dark money out of campaign. That is why it was difficult for a long time for corporations to fund campaigns. That's why they had to go to the Supreme Court for the Supreme Court to have an opinion that said corporations were people, and so they have a First Amendment right to fund campaigns. So even in these United States, people are still speaking about getting money out of politics, getting dark money out of politics. So to the Reverend point, I think he missed the point. Because here in America, people are still talking about that. They're still talking about how to make sure that they take dark money out of politics. And that is the reason, as a candidate, for me, when I ran, I had to make a disclosure, campaign finance disclosure. I say how much money I raised, where I got it from, entities that endorsed me, how much money they give me, and I have to say how I used it. That is not happening in Liberia. So that's what makes it cash violence. Because if I decide to fund my own campaign, I still have to account for how much money I give my campaign. That is the reason Donald Trump even said he loaned his campaign, and his campaign had to pay him back. But that doesn't happen in Liberia. So, Reverend, sadly, you're comparing apples and oranges, because the way it happens here, people are still complaining about it, and they call it corruption. And in Liberia, we don't even have the accountability. That's what makes it cash violence.
Additionally, I never saw my David Cicilline here, Jack Ray, seeking re-election and going there and giving money to people, this and that. All what he does is he conduct township. But gentlemen, let's go inside Lofa. Our man is standing by this early morning hours. Let's hear what is happening. This is Liberia Public Radio. Folks, good evening. Stay tuned. I'm Alphonso Zean Soe. Okay, good evening, folks. Let's go to Liberia, to Vanyaman City. He will tell us exactly where he is. Let's see what's happening. Good morning, Liberia.
Good morning, Mr. Soe. Good morning to everyone.
Yeah, I know it been a hectic day, but hey, this is what we signed also. That woman. So, Thomas, where are you right now? Where are you located?
Well, I'm present in Vanyaman City, precisely Kintoma Hill.
Okay, so we are on edge. We don't know what is going on, and we want to be very careful how to call this here. I'm hoping to hear from Kolahun as well. I know we had a message today, and they were waiting for ICOM or NEC to address to speak 2 o'clock, I believe, local time today. What is the latest situation in Lofa County as far as you are concerned? And is it coming from the National Election Commission? Are you there, Thomas?
Yeah, okay. Thank you, sir. The thing is, up to now, the things that they posted here with all of those posts that people are posting on social media, but up to now, NEC have not come up with any preliminary result or so on, or provisional result. So nothing of such have come up from the National Elections Commission. In fact, just yesterday we spent our whole day in the talent room at the National Elections Office in Vanyaman here, headed by Magistrate Albert Smith. He is the longest serving magistrate in the Republic of Liberia. He has served over 20 years as a magistrate. So he's the head for Upper Lofa. So we spent our whole day in the talent room yesterday in Vanyaman, did some counting, and where we have copy of the talent sheets here for each polling place or precinct he goes to, we check it, and then we have copy of each, the share copy of each to the media, the party observers, and so on, organizations, and international observers as well. Each person receive a copy that we have. But then we spend the day in the evening hours. The magistrate Smith said, when we posed that question to him as to whether we could get the total number or the result of those once I was checked yesterday, that we spent the whole day on, that was checked, we're watching the process, that we have copy. If we could get a total amount of them, but he said, no, it was not possible until today. I wish time would be in the afternoon. He said somewhere 1 to 2 o'clock, he'll be done with upper loafer. With that, we that in the talent room will receive a copy of the total votes counted for upper loafer.
So, okay, is it possible? I know darkness and all of that now. Do you have specific numbers on hand with respect to from upward loafer, or maybe we can do a process of elimination, the first 2 highest or 3 highest? Is there any specific numbers were provided by the election official?
No, that's why I said we spent the whole day, and he said he could not give a specific number or result on that until tomorrow. But then what we have observed, because we spent a day there in the talent room, is that 2 persons is actually between 2 persons right now. That is Councillor Joseph Pato Jala, independent candidate, and Unity Party candidate Galakbai Wozi Kotiman. So the 2 of them is actually between is fluctuating. You will see Galakbai will win some centers, he will goes up, and then you will see later on Councillor Jala will come from the back to from maybe a district and climbs up to the first place just like that. So it's actually fluctuating up and down between the 2 of them.
Okay, so yeah, this is quite interesting. Do we know, or NEC has announced the total votes in this process from Lofa County? Any number that you know of? I have perused through their website. I have not seen anything. Maybe my glasses not saying me right. Is there any official numbers of Lothians that participated in this by-election? The put out, you know?
No, nothing of such. So that's why they said until today in the afternoon, at which time they will conclude with the tallying. That will be the only time they will come up with a number. But for now, nothing.
So this is crazy. I want to get to this guy, but and I want to be going to them here because now it just put me off track here completely. If we don't even know the number of people participated, how can it be questioned? So the idea, people coming out, I win, we do this, we do that here, is just a job on exercise because NEC has not announced official result. What is the atmosphere in Vanyama, and what is the atmosphere in other places in Lofa County as we speak?
Well, the atmosphere is not conducive for citizens, especially electoral district number 1, Foya district, where you have you have Joseph Walker, you also have Thomas Fala is there. So that place is very, 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 very hard to beat right now because you have sedition, because Thomas Fala went on his radio Don't Blood. It's a brand new radio he just opened. So he went on the radio. In fact, it was first the superintendent of Foya district. Right, he went on the radio and announced that from the numbers they got from the field, from their agents, in all indication tells them that they win. So they started celebrating, and Thomas Fala also went on the radio and they sing, pronouncing that yes, CDC have won from results from all of their agents and observers. So that made them the winner, and they started jubilating. So what now happened is that the Unity Party too said no. If we said this goes on, yes, the others will believe that yes, they have won, and that's not true. So Unity Party too had their supporters in the street. So it brought some problems yesterday in Foya until the police had to fire in the air and fire some tear gas and so on. And some arrests was made from those that are jubilating that they have won, both the Unity Party and the supporter of the independent candidate that was endorsed by the CDC.
Is the former vice president, is he still in Lofa as we speak? Thomas Fala and all of those people, are they still in Lofa? They're waiting for the official results?
Yes. They are still in Lofa.
Okay, hold on. Let me go to my colleagues there. Maybe they will have a follow-up here. Let me go there. Amos George.
Yeah.
Are you celebrating? Do you know the winner now? What's your question? If you have any follow-up for Mr. Yancey?
I just want to, the question I just want to maybe rephrase it. I want to ask him, did the election commission did not tell the citizen of Lofa how many persons will be voting? How did they print the ballot if they didn't tell people how many persons are voting? So how do people know that 30,000 people, 36,000 people total will be voting? You don't think that would that room for suspicion or create some confusion among the voters and even those who running?
Okay, I wish we would be the election commission, but okay, Thomas, go ahead.
Yeah.
Anybody ever raised that question?
No, I didn't get his question.
No, the question you were asking was, they didn't tell the Lothians how many people registered. What would be the because it's a kind of hair scratching people. We don't know how many persons participating in this process.
Yeah.
Nobody asked that question, and NEC did not explain anything.
Yeah.
No, nobody asked that question, and so with that, NEC didn't ask any question. But then there is a figure, right? There is a figure that we got from the past election. I mean, December 8th, 2020. So there is a figure. I'm trying to lay my hands on it right here for you. Okay.
So why are you doing that? They ever had news?
The total registered voters is 186,775.
186.
So for female, female registered voters, we have 96,829. So that's for female. The total registered male voters, 90,946. So that's the figure for those that registered in Lofa County.
So, is that number we are counting on any new voters within that interim, or is anything was said or nothing like that?
Yeah, so that is the number. But then some people are raising issues. I mean, some are even on the radio. It was addressed by many citizens, especially the issue of this replacement of damaged card that was conducted by the NEC. We have 5 electoral districts with 11 administrative districts. So now the process of the damaged card was just conducted in 2 districts: Kolahun district at the Vonjama NEC head office, then Kolahun district, the same NEC office. So if you are in how do we call it, Foya or Vahum, meaning you have to pay away from Vahum to come to Kolahun to change your damaged card. So if you are in Zozo, Salaye, Kwadubone, you have to come to Vonjama to NEC office to go through the process of changing your damaged card. So some people could not afford the amount transportation coming way to Vonjama to do that. So with that, they are saying that is one of the causes of the low turnout of this gone election. And then some talk about the low turnout because of the awareness. The civic education was not done properly.
Wow.
But let me ask
Okay, hold on. Let me go to Sese here because I see him. I think he's developing the artificial stomach pain right now. The news are coming there. Let me, Sese.
Yes, sir. For me though, I'm really not worried, about who's going to win. We're acting in Liberia like we don't know math. This is simple mathematics. And so for me, when you tally 81% of votes and you got a lower percentage left, and from an area that's not as vote rich as other places,
exactly,
you still thinking that you can win. That just tells me that we need to really brush up our math curriculum. That is just what that is. But there are smart people doing this thing, right? If you think about this, this is from page 1 of the CDC playbook. If we were to believe these pronouncements, Thomas Fala would be senator. Then they announced Thomas Fala as senator in the race with Darius DeLon. They even had celebrations and people were in the streets. Then they announced Polita Wee as winner against Darius DeLon, right? And some of these same people on here were announcing at one point in time that this guy Zoli Zoe had been confirmed, right, when he was going through that confirmation problem. So for me, really, you know, pattern matters. That's why I wrote today on my Facebook page. I said pattern matters. In mathematics, just so you look at the pattern. If you give me Senator Thomas Fala, and he was not senator, and you give me Senator Polita Wee, and he was not senator, and now you give me Senator Jala, you really think I'm paying attention to that? No, because and the sad thing is they're going back to the same playbook. It's not a new edition. But my only question I got from my brother in sorry folks, I'm babysitting. The only question I got from my brother in Vandermont is weren't all of these parties observers required to sign off on the tally and then given copies of those tallies? Because I think that's what was done in Mosorado, right? Mosorado County, each polling station, people got their copies, the political parties got their copies, and so it was easy for you to go and kind of be able to tell provisionally, you know, whether you won while waiting to see the NEC to make the pronouncement. And I think that is the data that Saros look at, Momo Saros and Representative Mariama Fofana look at to concede. So to my brother, did they give those information to their party candidates and their observers?
Okay. So Thomas.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to speak to that question?
The copy out of the stuff that was counted today, we were given copy. But then in the tally room today, there was a question raised by former representative candidate of electoral district number 4. Yes. So today he raised a question. On one of the papers here from NEC, you saw that for the polling center, only the PO sign, that's the presiding officer sign, and only one party agent has signed. So the question was if that paper was valid or not, because you can't, two persons by right, two persons should have signed, right? Two party agents, the first and the second, they have to sign, but that didn't happen. We only saw the PO signature and one party agent signature. So you're asking as to whether it is valid or not. So it brought some holding and putting in the tally room today until the magistrate himself have to come to put under control and say yes. Sometimes some people can be happy and they forget to sign, and some people forget to sign and they just leave and go. So that was how he addressed the issue to Honorable Sekou Brahima Kolai, and that's how it was handled. So all of the centers represented.
Yeah. So do we have any timeline as to when the official NEC going to come up with the official result? Any timeline so far, you know?
Well, they have not given us any timeline, but what they told us, according to the magistrate, he said by this afternoon today, we will get the results from Upper Lofa. And we are also trying to do same with a Lower Lofa.
So you being in Lofa there, where if we're to, just for discussion purposes, where is the concentration right now? Where people thinking that the votes should come from to say, okay, I should be the winner, that if we're to make a guess, where are people focusing right now? Where's the focus point?
The main focus point is FOIA, because FOIA, you see some areas is being won by Councillor Jara, independent candidate, and some places is being won by Garapai Wozi Kotiman. So the main tension is FOIA. So that is why you see both of the officers are in FOIA right now until the final result can come up. Like I said, some areas were made yesterday because of jubilation. The party, CDC started jubilating, and the party said, no, we can't stay there. The guys will feel that yes, and everyone will agree that yes, they have won. So we too have to get in the street and celebrate. So that brought some noise until police had to shoot tear gas and fire in the air, make some arrests and so on.
Wow. Okay, my man. I know
but Mr. So, I told you yesterday, right? I said this whole thing is about FOIA. It's not about the votes anymore. It's about bragging rights. Look, people already know who won this election, right? But they're trying to stretch this thing like they stretched the Maserati thing for a long time to kind of soften the punch, right? The effect, because you slow it down so much and then you just concede easily, and then that shock is not there. But everybody is focused in FOIA because they're trying to get this bragging rights. They're trying to say, okay, can Joseph Newman Boakai stay whole FOIA to show that he is still the political godfather of Lofa County? Or has he been toppled in FOIA by Thomas Fala, Jefferson Koji, and Finda Bondo? This is all this is about. I think they all know the numbers. They all understand who's won already.
Okay. Okay, before we let you go, I know it's late, you've been on your feet there. Quickly, any of the party leaders, anybody ever made a public statement, for example, telling their supporters to be calm and wait for NEC for the official result? Anybody speaking to that effect?
For that, no, except Momo Tanukoli Cyrus, who posted on the social media, he said he's grateful to all of those that voted him, and he can no longer win according to the numbers that he have gotten from his observers. So he said whoever wins, he's gonna work with the person. So if we look at district number 1 representative who had a press conference yesterday, Nimane Sakla. He had a press conference yesterday calling on all his supporters that yes, according to their war room, from all indication, they have got 81%. So they are in the lead. There's no way that they can lose this election. They are already in the lead. 81% check have been made according to their war room. So they are in the lead. And that's the same Thomas Fala today. They went on his radio and announced that they are winner. They won.
But Mr. So.
All right, my man. I know it's so late now.
Yeah.
Let me see. Maybe Pa George, you got a follow up before we let him go.
Let me just ask him this question. This tally, this sheet from the voting booth, this sheet here, it's a different. It's the same number that everybody share and sign on. So why are these people giving different information? How can someone say from our war room, this is what we have, and it's the same number the other people supposed to have on the other side? So how are they arriving at this number they are playing with? So
are you there, Thomas?
I think he gone.
Yeah, they didn't get his question clear.
Okay, just ask.
Okay, why he asking from the tally room? These numbers, both the parties represented, NEC, they all sanction these numbers to say, yeah, these are the number counted, maybe these are the votes being validated and all of that. Is that the case?
Well, that is only happening per polling center, because the checking per precinct, when they get to this precinct, they count from center 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just like that. That's how it goes here. But they have not given any specific number yet that, oh yes, we're done with this and this is what kept. But the magistrate said the things are all set for tomorrow morning. Will resume 9 o'clock in the morning. By the afternoon hour, it will be done.
Okay. All right. Ooh.
I think the point Mr. Josh was making was a salient point, because even if you're looking at it from just polling centers,
yes,
the precinct has many polling centers, but you're having those data from each of the polling centers.
Okay.
So all you have to do is aggregate all of those, sum up, and you know what you got from each precinct. And so that's what I'm saying is that these political parties are not being fair with the Liberian people. They're taking this as another, political game. And like I said, people lose elections, and I've lost elections, so I know how hurtful it is. And maybe this is their way of saying, well, we'll slow it down, and then eventually when we say we lost, then our people will not be as hurt. But that's creating chaos, right? Because there are people sitting now, you got everybody declaring they're winning. Yeah. And sadly, this has been the process for a while now in Liberian politics, and the CDC took over, and it's so easy for them to have jubilations and declare themselves winners. I said to say by saying it, because I say it so it will happen, right? This is not prophecy. So I think they forget that math and prophecy are two different things. But you're right, Mr. George. I don't understand why we get into this point. And the sad thing is, Momo Cyrus, for Momo Cyrus to say he concede that he's losing, that means he's getting all of his own data and data. And even Mariama Fofana also said that she congratulated Jala, Councillor Jala. So that means she to look at all of her data. So why they looking?
How she got to the point to congratulate somebody? I mean, she can speak for herself. So on what basis too?
But I see this.
She was very controversial with the CDC stuff. Yes. She congratulated Jala. So.
Yeah, want to muddy the water because every person we know, once that vote is counted, you have your representative there. They look at the numbers, they sign, they say, okay, this is the total number of vote from here, and they send it over. So is that same number that CDC is supposed to have? Is that same number? The other party is supposed to have? I mean, unity party will have from that precinct, from that one precinct. They go to the next one. It's same number. So when they tie all those numbers, they will know exactly.
Samuel Shepoye, our man Shepoye is stirring all trouble. No new voters, no deaf voter. Everything is presumed consent since 2 years ago. Oh,
but again, you know, we the democracy, what we're doing, we're not doing it the right way, and we don't want to put the system in place.
What was he saying here about Kalahun, about the two districts? I try to catch this.
It was talking about renewing lost voters registration.
Yeah. So why they didn't do it district by district?
That is the problem now.
Resources or what? That for NEC.
Right, because those two districts, because you see when he made that pronouncement, those two districts are headquarters almost in the stronghold of Jala, right? And that is the point he was making there. That now other people will have to pay, will have to travel. Sometimes 1 hour in cars just to go and renew their voter.
How did go to that point?
You know,
what's the determining factor that were used? That okay, out of 5 districts, we're going to take this 2 here. So how it was work out?
That's the election commission question. I don't think that's a question
it's not just our National Election Commission. The political party that participating in the elections, they have the responsibility to make sure NET do the right thing. But if NET is not doing the right thing and you remain silent, then of course you're not helping the process. Okay? If NET said they want to do replacement of voter cards, they should be able to tell the people how many voter cards were destroyed, how many was replaced. They should tell the parties. It should be put, that public information, it should be put out in the public domain to see. But everybody's silent. The only one that say they're going to vote. I mean, can you imagine?
What time do people have to make this sort of calculation? They themselves dancing. They don't. I don't know what is a kind of engagement.
But these are people that want to run the country. And if these people who want to run the country, they are not holding institutions responsible. Then what do you think if they get to power? How are they going to run the country?
So I think that's a bigger point. That's a larger point, and that I think hopefully this is a learning moment for going into 2023 presidential elections because a lot more. Imagine what the brother said about 180,000 registered voters in Lofa County, and we are counting 20,000 somebody to win, 20,000, 15,000, right? So we are even looking at what less than 60,000 people participating out of
182,000.
Yeah, 182,000 registered.
Yes.
In the whole county.
Yes.
And if we're looking at all of the tallies that are coming in right now, out of the numbers that I've seen, the combined total has not passed 60,000. So we're looking at 180,000+ people registered to vote, but you got only about 60,000. You got about a third, if that, voting in an election. The NEC ought to take this as something to study and how to do voters education. But beyond that, to Mr. George's point, the political parties have to share some blame on this. How do you call yourself a political party if you don't have a voter education, voter engagement, get out the vote stuff, unless the day before election when everybody troop into the city and then you're beating drum and you think that's when people are going to leave their farms and come? And these people forgot that this is Lofa County. A lot of the people go on farms. They go in their villages. They want to come to the town on certain days. And so if you didn't tell me, and then you come in the town today, but I'm not in the town, how do I hear y'all doing anything when I'm all the way in my village?
But since some people have died.
But in the pocket town, say the people got to go find their food. They're just going there they were just going there for like a week, and after that, they know they're going to be gone, and these people got to find food for their family. So, do you think we're going to get something at the end of the day tomorrow, considering all these surroundings and what we are hearing?
Tomorrow
or today in Liberia's time, like 2 o'clock, NEC will be having a...
You will not get any result because the election commission, I don't think they want to start putting on, they will start putting on bid releases from districts. If we were here, then I could say, oh yes, they will start releasing results from districts. But tomorrow, they will tell you, say, hey, the state, Ray County, they want to make sure all the kind of thing here. And these things, by now, it should be just something easy to do. Easy to do. One district, county district.
Total registrants.
Arithmetic. Just arithmetic.
Yeah.
How it is. Arithmetic.
So, yeah, the total, what we're receiving here, the total number.
From Foya district, this is the total of vote. This John Brown, this was the straw vote. SY got this. SY got this from the district, period. Everybody know that district.
Okay, this is what we will see here in the curious system of NEC. Total registrants, 187,775.
Yes.
So this table here, it gives us some little bit something. Electoral district number 1, male registrant, 14,498. Female, 16,418. Total 30,916. That's district, electoral district number 1. Electoral district number 2, male registrant, 19,404. Female, 18,882. Total of 38,286. That's electoral district number 2. Number 3, which category you belong in, my man? Even though you're not voting. Number.
I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay.
Don't stay. We'll keep you out of this thing here before you stay all trouble. Okay, electoral district number 3.
Ask Mr. John. Mr. John is for district number 3.
Look, Mr. Soe.
County.
Mr. Soe, there's no need to even read that because people had died. I'm sure some people have moved. So either that number should be up or it should be down. So nobody will use that number as a total registered voter.
Well, it could be used as a baseline.
As a baseline, yeah.
That's a baseline to go on. We can do that. We can do that. That's a baseline. At least we have something to work with, and then we can say, okay, maybe we can proclaim other people there, whatever it is. That's not what I want to do here. So we have this here. Okay, electoral district number 3, 14,646. Male, female, 16,400. Why the female registrants are more than the male always? So, and men that cause trouble, they don't vote.
No, but everywhere
1,076.
Voting black.
So actually, right here, help us here, help us out, Sissy. Electoral district number 5 is where?
I got my computer.
Because number 5 and number 2 seems to have a huge Oh,
That
no.
is number 2 is in the Foya era. It's the Foya Kolahun era. That's number 2.
Actually, number 4.
And
Number 4 there about 22,000. Number 4, number 2, and number 5, 19 and 24. So if you could do a calculation, this is where the concentration that people are trying to, to see, say, like, okay, everybody's there still alive, so maybe we'll get this number here. It will put us to the finishing line.
Now, the way I see that number they giving, I don't think the total number of voters in this election will not even surpass 70,000. I doubt it.
Well, that was the point I was trying to make is voters' apathy or the lack of voters' education, because there's also a district area there's one of those places that's very populated, and then you got the district number 2. And if you look at most of the stuff that's been coming out in the CDC war room, has been having that district number 2, because that's the Kolahun Vahun area there and the Foya area. And if you start to look at the Unity Party war room, you're looking at district number 5, the Zozo side and the other people. So they've just been kind of putting out the data that supports that claim, right? But my bigger point here, though, is we're talking about, for example, when do we think this is going to be released by the NEC? I agree with Mr. George. I don't think it's going to be tomorrow. I think at minimum it's going to be Monday. I think by Monday we get to know exactly what happened in Lofa County, and let me make another prediction that there will be a winner. And the loser will challenge the results, and we will spend another 3 months before the person who wins can take a seat.
This is interesting here. I'm getting this here from someone who is close to these things and work in government, well informed, with critical thinking analysis. This is the question you're asking: how the CDC as a ruling party, with all the resources, turns to use Joseph Jala, a chairman of Twawant Gonglo's Liberian People's Party, as independent candidate, becomes the face of the CDC. Is it that the CDC is not attractive to voters in Lofa? Joseph Jala was closer to UP than CDC because he was head of the Drug Enforcement Agency under President Sirleaf. Quite interesting. People are digging up these things and following it here. So this wheel here, who will provide explanation to this?
But if you look at this, right? If you look at this, Mr. Soe, the last election, Joseph Jala had about what, 11, 13,000, there about 11,000 more. So on his own, he was way over 10,000. So if he does not double his amount, then that means the CDC didn't help him out, because if the man by himself could get over 10,000, and we're looking at his preliminary numbers that are around the place, is not breaking 20,000, then this is a man this is the 4th time running, and whose work in government, who is a name brand, then the CDC, I will argue, actually took away from him. So we have to wait and look at that number, because that's what I've been telling people, who sympathize with the CDC, and say Joseph Jala would have been a formidable force in Lofa County without the stamp of the CDC. The stamp of the CDC was an albatross around his neck that slowed him down and made him kind of unwanted in many circles that would have otherwise given him an ear. Right, like if he had stuck with either the LPP or just went independent and left it that way, he would have had a better chance. This would have been the fight to the last.
What was the motive of the ruling establishment to have done that, and why he, Councillor Jala too, decided to pivot in that direction?
But you can't underestimate the power of money, right? So the Reverend said, Solomon in his comment about the cash violence, right? If Joseph Jala does not have the money to go out everywhere in Lofa to campaign, and somebody come and say, "Yo, I'll give you money," he takes it, right? But taking that money is like what I said the other day. You're in Fiamma and your house is hot, and you open the house so cold breeze can come in, but mosquitoes gonna come in also. So when you take that money, you're taking a lot of other responsibilities and other liabilities with that money. And I think that's what happened with Joseph Jala. And I think he was made to believe that the street lights in Foya and the renovation of the city hall was going to be something that the Lufians were going to look at and say, okay, we can vote a CDC candidate. And so I think that calculation was wrong on his part. But he took it thinking that was going to be, you know, a win in itself. And I think it ended up, you know, just bursting his bubble.
Yeah, and just to buttress what Sissy said, I said it before. I had known Councilor Jala for way back many years. You're a fine gentleman. But I don't know the political people around here, what are the people around them who sit and say, don't happen this 1 year, no, we can't go this route. Reason XYZ, because these are reasons. Let us go this way. I don't know. And I'm not saying he could win.
Do we need to ask CDC why the turn to Joseph Jala?
Yeah, it's the point. Why Joseph Jala, Mr. Soe?
Didn't you almost get Prince Sharif on? He would have been a good person to ask.
He came and his thing was fumblings all over the place. So for whatever reason, I don't know. That was not my fault.
CDC put up a little weird in Maserado, the B-Hawk. They had a guy from Kidman Watson. This other guy, what they call this guy was elected on the ANC specific ticket.
Simeon Taylor.
Simeon Taylor. He was sedition. He could not run. He went to the ANC. He won that seat. Then he flipped back to CDC. So that to tell you, they cannot put on a candidate on their own now to say this is a CDC candidate.
We're trying to avoid crisis, political crisis of maybe losing.
No,
and they prefer to do it indirectly. Is that the case, you think?
Yeah, they're losing. So they're looking for people who they will go, they say, okay, we will support you. Then when you win, you come over to us. Look at the guy, Papa Kola, one guy from Papi from Ghana area.
Color Green, yeah, Representative Papa.
He ran as an independent, but he was sedition. When he won, then he went over to CDC. So that's a problem with CDC. Because all the by-elections they had tried, it just didn't work for them to win. So when Jala came, they went and talked to Jala and said, hey, we can finance you. Just as an independent, if you are independent, we can finance you. And then if you win, you can go across over to us. And maybe Jala did not have the money. He went, but I think what citizen and what I'm seeing, it was wrong. Because if Jala would have gone as an independent, he had one or two things in his favor. One,
I've been hearing this argument a lot. Jala should have gone alone. He shouldn't have gone in bed with CDC. Oh, what is the guarantee if he are going alone?
That's the thing. Yeah.
We're going to be out of empathy because he's been going over and over, or what?
Listen.
Or do they see as one of those who created this confusion within the Lofa belt or with this whole because of his position with CDC?
No. The people that were trying, their campaign was not about, it was not about, it's not, the campaign had not been about substance or issues.
Nope.
It's been about personality.
Yeah.
Because if the campaign was going to be about substance, the issue would have been discussed between Jala and the other people. But none of the people were raising any issue that all they were doing is the United Party say, hey, the more Brani Samoka, so you should not vote for Jala. Other people say you have vote Jala. But what I'm saying, Jala's strategy would have been if he had gone as independent. Number one, he could make the argument that the upper people got somebody, or the lower people, the people got somebody already. So we need
an argument on freedom, though.
Mr. Soe, the argument on freedom is not an argument, it's to the people on the ground. But when you see Dishon, you can't make that argument again.
How many independent-minded people in Lofa listening to freedom, man? Come on.
But because what I'm saying, he would have been independent, he would have gone to his people and say, look, he would have gone to the Bani people, the Loma people, the Pellet people, say, look, we are down here. Our other brother is up there already. So why we can't get someone to represent us so we can be there? And our brother was here, Samoka came, they threw him out. So there's an opportunity for us. He would have appealed to the people, not being trialistic. But just be real that, hey, there's one man from up. So if I come from down here, I think we'll have a balance.
But
Those are things that will appeal to the people. But when he is not the face of CDC, he can't go and tell the people, say, this is this. They will say no.
But I think at minimum, to Mr. Soe's point, at minimum, he would not have bought the baggage, the CDC baggage, because the CDC in marriage came with pluses and minuses, right?
Yeah.
You get the political heavyweights like Salah coming, and you get Jefferson Koji. You get that. You get to enjoy that. You get funding for the campaign, and I'll tell you, money in political campaigns is huge. So you get funding for a campaign. You get all of these things paid for. You get transportation. You get everything you don't have to worry about. You don't have to go into your personal coffers. So you get all of those. But what he didn't look at were the minuses, right? Because at worst case scenario, without the CDC, he would have still had his own wind blowing behind him, but not worry about any wind hitting him back, not a current pushing him back, right? But with the CDC, now he had to be swimming against a current. And good, bad, or indifferent, this conversation got framed around the CDC as being the group that disenfranchised Lothians. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that is how this entire campaign got reframed. And to Mr. George's point, if this thing was about the issues, right, we would have had a very good debate, because you had Suma Kupi that would have been asked about his time in office, his tenure in office. What did he do as senator? What didn't he do that he think he can do now, right? What are some of his regrets, and what are some of his strengths? We would have had to talk to Representative Mariama Fofana about what has she done to extend outside of her district, right? What has she done in her district that she thinks she can amplify to the whole Worcester County? They would have talked to Kalaka Kotimai about being a superintendent, and what did he do? What are his failures? We would have had a good conversation. But this whole thing got framed around, Brownie Samukai, and we lost out on that.
Yeah.
Let me bring this piece of news here. Okay, we are getting more revelations. Some of these issues surrounding Jala. When we on these things here, there are people. This one is more than like a Bob Woodward and a Ditro. There are some people. There are certain. You can sit down here. There are some things you don't get access to certain news. All of these parties, inner parties, other media guru, or there are other individual that they confer, and they can have these sort of conversations off camera. But this is interesting. Jala, we all know, is a junior counselor at the central bank. That's the Central Bank of Liberia. Job given to him both by the Liberian regime and continued in the led government. Key Councilor Jala. So this person, what they are saying now, or what has been happening behind the scene, it appears that the progressive, like Wolokoli, Famole, Twawant Gonglo, who is also expiring as a candidate, and the rest, like Dew Milsons and Kamina Wise, back out from him since he endorsed CDC. He was with the progressive wing, and he decided to pivot 360 degrees. So the police said, wait a minute, something unusual is happening here. This guy perhaps were keeping him as to be used as a main point, or to be used as somewhere here. But here we go. And this person is saying he became chairman of LPP, right? Which is of LPP, that's the Liberian People's Party, and opposed most of the progressive, according to this individual, these conversations, most of the progressive here, more or less, they were saying they were trying to reserve Jala because Lofa is very crucial in the presidential race as well. So they were looking at him most likely to be like a guy that they could have recruited, the progressive, Trawan Gonglo is on the other side there from the Nima. And so hooking up Nima and Lofa, that could have been a sort of attractive ticket and those sort of individual, but his alignment, his crossings is kind of like undercutting his guy. These conversations, I believe, you don't see, when you see these things coming to light, say it means conversations break the conference, like the conversation is no longer holding. So someone who's going to be like a deep throat going to come from out of the prayer and begin to give this thing to news and media institution, they also confide in that they can, call their name to say, hey, this is the information. You don't have to disclose my identity. You're not going to do this. You're not going to do that. So now it's like more or less like a losing battle, because it appears that the progressive were trying to preserve him, pushing Gonglo, and then they were going to get him from the Lofa Bell, Gonglo coming from the Nimasa. That could have been a sort of a more or less attractive ticket to say, okay, yeah, that sort of a regional solidarity or sentiment, as we always, that's part of it always. Ethnicity always kind of like dominate our politics. But with this sort of understanding now, it's screwed up.
So for disclosure for your listening audience, I'm a staunch supporter of Trawan Gonglo and his presidential bid. So people can know that. Now, having said that, I did not support Joseph Jara in the Lofa elections, and I got my reasons for that. But here is one thing I think maybe for whatever it's worth, citizens can take that. In this country, there are places where you have candidates running, and they will ask for the top of the ticket to come and campaign. So, for example, a Democrat running, and they're in a district that they feel threatened, they will ask Joe Biden to come if that district is a heavily liberal district, to come out and whip out the vote. Same thing Donald Trump did, right, for conservative people that are running. But when you're in a district where it's a 50-50 split, there are people who will tell the president, even Barack Obama, there are other people who are running and say, Mr. President, please do not come to my district. They asked him to stay away because they felt like his coming was going to serve as a get of the vote for the other side. People did that to the president last time, Trump. And there are people even thinking about doing that to Joe Biden in this coming election because they feel like bringing him on will get out the vote of conservatives. And so the CDC, I think they can still play a political intermarriage with independent candidates. But all they have to do is treat it like they don't have to be there. You can be in the background. You can do all of the things you need to do. But you have to do a strategic calculation to find out if it is going to be a net loss or a net gain for the candidate you're endorsing. Because I remember back in the day, not too long ago, Mr. Soe, George Weah would go to Center Street, take a dead body, raise their hand, and that dead body will win the election. Now anybody hands he raises is dead. So they have to be able to make sure that, okay, we're not putting candidates out right now. We still need people that when they get in their house, they will caucus with us. How do we do that? We can give them the money behind the scenes. We can give them the strategy behind the scenes, but you got to be careful how far you show your hands. And I think they did that with Joseph Jala. And like you said, if Joseph Jala had any other chance or inclination of, going with the progressive or anything else, it tinted that. It made that work harder for him because nobody's going to see him clearly anymore. They're going to see him in the framework of the CDC. Every time people see Joseph Jala, they're going to think about the CDC, and it's going to be a very hard identity to share for him, unfortunately.
So if we're to kind of like condense this whole thing and put it into a context, politicians or political parties, the lack of political tolerance, because some of these things can be worked out. We see it happening here. And exactly, you put it into context, because while here they have like the independence more or less, they try to change the ties. And so if they see certain people coming, they're like, this guy, he will be brainwashed. Even though I like him, but with this sort of person coming, you're going to screw the whole thing up. So why did they make that sort of calculation? Why they decide to be just leave it giving all of the resources, stay out of it, act like a devil, say criticizing or something, and but you know you get your softboard, you already finished smoking your political peace pipe in darkness, no camera, no audio, no image, nothing. It was cool. You don't have to go there. So now with this here, make other people who perhaps trying to get in such arrangement to begin to distance themselves. I don't want to go. People when they come and they will spoil my thing. Is that the kind of thing that you think that's what's going to happen?
Yeah. Now here's the thing. So Jara, that statement you read, that comment the person made, it bring me to one or two things. I didn't know that Jara was working in the Central Bank as junior work on legal counsel. I know him to be a lawyer. But knowing CDC, the kind of thing they do, one, maybe they went to Jara and say, hey, if you want to keep the job.
Oh, Lord, Amos Joyce.
Mr. Soe, this is like the judge, we are government, they are good. That's true. Maybe they went to him and say, hey, maybe some of us did not go in, but somebody will go there and say, my man, the job that you want to keep the job, you got to join us. If you join us, I hear something, you will lose your job. It could be one thing again. And another side of the progressive talking. Look, I've been knowing Jara for a very long time. Even the last time when I went to Monrovia, he saw me and said, oh, my man, we got to talk. But I was so busy, I didn't have the time. So I know Jara for a long time.
Maybe he wanted you to be a campaign manager.
I've been knowing Jara for a very long time. Saw this man, they were the people that funded that party. When the government banned that party, they all went to the Liberian Action Party. That went, I met Jara, and since then we're being friends of the now. So these people talking, did they give Jara any financial support? That party, I can say, was there completely. I think maybe that council of Congress just trying to put life in that party. It was dead. So these comments they're making, what was the financial support of true behind this man to keep him at base? To say, hey, you know what? We have something in the pipeline. Let's put your man in Lofa County. Let's do everything that he can win this situation, that he don't have to look other elsewhere for financial support or to flip over. What did it do? They're not talking that side of the team. Now they want to make that.
Mikey is telling us trouble. CDC go to Lofa just to provoke JMB.
Sure.
How can you say that?
Listen, the issue now is what Jara just left to go to CDC. I'm sure there was some pressure from somewhere. Maybe to maintain his job. Because what I'm saying, this guy, Simeon Taylor, one of the guys that supported Simeon that his campaign, said the reason that Simeon Taylor went to CDC, one, he wants to get a contract with a company, that big company, scrapping company. But they told him that they cannot register that business as long as he don't join them.
So the political hostages now?
The people they told him. The guy was
my uncle, yeah, I swear.
Oh, they told him.
The ANC,
the conspiracy theorists are all coming out.
But look, the number out there for those of you who have opinions or different view of what is being said here, you have the right to call and speak your mind.
So for how he got that job.
Well,
it was because he prosecuted Kabila Janet.
Well,
yeah, Serena was I want to visit my country one of these days, and I don't want to end up going to jail, so I will leave Serena.
I went there last time I spoke to him.
It's something completely different. But
well, I mean, we can't be definitive to these things yet. That's facts.
LPR will have to bill me out of jail if I say anything here when I'm in Liberia.
So
I know you got
those gossip on the social network, we don't pick them up.
Well,
When
here
people
is
that we have to
here,
give.
here is the bigger answer to your question you asked about why didn't the CDC have this discussion with Councilor Jada about staying in the back, and I can only proffer maybe thoughts on what might be. In Liberia, we have these egocentric politicians. Everything I do, my name have to be there. That's the reason even during Ebola time, people were giving buckets to people to pour water in. They were putting their name on it. Representatives are doing that, because it is.
I'll put you on the bucket also.
Yep. It is me. It is me. Don't forget that. I give you that bucket. Don't forget that. So it is this egocentrism that affects our politicians to the point that they don't want to do anything and be anonymous, right? The idea of an anonymous giver in Liberian political space is non-existent. And I think that's one of the first reasons. The second reason is that the CDC tent has been contracting, right, instead of expanding. They have been there are people that call themselves disillusioned, disenchanted seditions. So those have been leaving, and so as people leave your tent, they leave with some ideas. They leave with some abilities, and so I think the Congress for Democratic Change and the Coalition for Democratic Change, both those CDCs tent have constricted to the point where you don't have access to people who will give them these advices, because there are many seditions, smart seditions that I know that would have, had they been at the table, would have proffered these ideas and say, yo, we can do like what happened in Missouri, for example. In Missouri here in the United States, Claire McCaskill, former senator from Missouri, when she was running in Missouri against all of these conservatives, she knew her chances of winning as a Democrat in Missouri was slim because, it's predominantly Republicans. So what she did in the Republican field was, when the Republicans were having their primaries, she funded up to $1 million in campaign ad to campaign for the most conservative guy, that she knew that the primary voters, the Republican primary voters, will love him. But as she knew he would be a disaster against her in the general election when the independents come out. So she spent that money highlighting this guy. And that guy became the Republican nominee, and she beat him in the general. So
I got dent. I played the game well.
So the CDC could have done this for Joseph Jara. They could have gone after Joseph Jara. They could have made Joseph Jara like a target of the CDC. Make him go to the people and say, y'all see the people? They're coming after me. They see people that thought they would have done that strategy, targeted Joseph Jara and go after Joseph Jara to the point that Joseph Jara becomes popular. Because right now, what it seems in Lofa is, if CDC is against you, I will support you. So CDC should have played the game that way, and they would have had a better fight, a better chance in Lofa County than they show yesterday or the day before yesterday.
Now, we've been slamming Joseph Jala, Councilor Jala here too. Can we share this sort of shared responsibility on the part of the party that he formerly chaired, that they didn't come? I'm not sure. I do not have anything to suggest or to say that he did share his vision as to what he wanted to do. Why the party didn't come out to say, hey, you are good as he served as a chairman of the party, and he wants to do why the party did not rally around him to campaign and lift his hand and say, hey, we're going to do this.
For me, like you said, I don't know much about that, so I don't want to dabble into gossip on here. But I also do know that even Tewan Gongo is not the candidate for the party yet, because the party is still waiting to go to convention. So might there have been the issue that they hadn't gone to convention yet to select him? I don't know, but I really can't speak to that because I don't know. And maybe there might have been reasons why he would have left the LPP and went independent and then went to the CDC. There has to be reason. I mean, Councilor Joseph Jala is a very learned man. So for him to leave a party that he has chaired to go independent in Lofa, when in fact being a part of that party was not a negative at all, to shed that party identity must have been a reason. and I don't want to speculate because I don't know what it is. But the counselor is a very educated man, so I know he would not have made that decision without a very good reason behind it.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's cool. That could possibly be. These are all possible scenarios. What?
Let me say this: we're not beating on Jala. We're just saying things that we think.
What? Aliyu, hold on 1 second. Why, Aliyu? Why would you say people block your phone number? What did you do that warrant people to block your phone number?
So, but
maybe you missing the number. Call that number there, go. Or if you don't, I say you put your number on and I will call you.
What's
your way, Aliyu?
The vote.
I've been putting the number being up here a long time. The number is up. If it ring here, I will know. Ali, if you want to call, just give me your number and I will call you right back. I don't think you place a call here.
So stop blocking people's numbers.
Yeah, no, well, you can do that. to come pull to stress to pull what? But, to create headache for my phone.
But you know all these. Sorry, go ahead, Mr. Josh. Sorry.
I was saying, I said, this low-fat candidate.
How do you put your number or send your number to me? I will call you. If you can't go through.
I don't think the winner of this election.
I think Saki also saying his call not going through. So there's a Saki
not going through.
Saki MW Saki saying call is not going through also.
So then where's the problem? Hold on 1 second. I don't know. Yeah, because as a phone, I was saying phone. I was talking to a man from Lofa. So while we, yeah, my phone is not on anything here. Let me see.
Ali just posted his number in it.
Okay, all right. You see, the man left after the man brought Joy. Then he left. He go to.
No, they always say I thought.
You know, with all of this, euphoria around Black Kotimai, I think the Lofians are gonna have a buyer remorse later on, simply because they didn't vet him properly, and because again we didn't have an issue based election, because Representative Mariam
yeah, it's not your fault. That one I can't say yeah, because you guys are right. Why the number not going through for some whatever reason? That one a different story.
Mariam Fofana spoke to the issue and said, in one of her interviews that
you are right. It's not black. There's something happening with this line here right now. That's all. Hopefully we'll get it fixed. I didn't even realize that. Go ahead.
That Galakpa Kotimai was not a team player. That Galakpa Kotimai left the superintendency with $74,000 that he was boasting about, that he left money in the coffers of the county, and the representative was saying, well, why was the money there when it could have been used to improve the lives of Lofians, simply because he didn't get along with the Lofa caucus. And so if he didn't get along with the Lofa caucus as a superintendent, and some of those people are still elected officials of Lofa, so he's going to go and meet them if he's elected to become part of their caucus, is he going to be able to play well with them in the sand? I think there are a lot of things Lofians right now, if they are winning for Kalakpa Kotimai, that they are overlooking. I mean, because I'm a Lofian, that we are overlooking, but we're going to have a buyer's remorse sooner than later if there's not a statesman or stateswoman that steps out and bring this entire caucus together and let bygone be bygone. Because she spoke about that, and there's been a lot of people who spoke about his time as superintendent, and certain things he did was not so favorable to them. And so there was going to have to be a need to bring people back together, or else this is not going to be a long-lasting marriage between him and the Lofians.
But then it brings me to this point. Then, were the unity parties sincere to Lofians? Because what was the meeting that your uncle convened to tell the people that this is the son this man will carry? Were there any meeting of the party or citizens, or it's just Joseph Boakai, who don't believe in democracy, just come and say, this is the man I'm carrying?
What? Oh,
that's a whole political party picking somebody, and in any political party, you pick the best candidate you think you got. You go with the best person you got. Regardless of whether they got baggages. So I don't think that is the fault.
So now let me ask you, what Fofana said? You don't think that guy got a baggage?
Do what?
what Fofana said, Honorable Marima Fofana said,
Mm-hmm.
now you don't think government has a baggage? And
Oh, that's what I said. That's what I'm saying. But the point I'm rebutting is your question about whether Joseph Nyamabwaka was fair, or and what conversation did he have with the Lofa County people about him? Lofa County people had nothing to do with Unity Party stuff. Unity Party selected their candidate, and Joseph Nyamabwaka went with him. If I have my own political party, we go with the best candidate we got. Just one thing we got. Here's one thing. Hold on 1 second, and I'll let you ask a question, Mr. George. Anybody who served in public office, for good, bad, or indifferent, you're going to have some baggages, right? So they do their calculation and say he had less of a negative baggage, so to go with him. I don't know. I'm not a Unity partisan. I am not even a sympathizer of the Unity Party. I'm just saying that, this is going to come back to become a short-lived marriage between the Lofians and Galakpa Kotimai if a statesman or stateswoman don't step up to try to see if there is any there in what the representative said. If there is nothing there, then yeah, let's move on. But if there's something there, it has to be fixed, because they have to all work together as a caucus in order to be able to advocate on behalf of the county. That's the point I'm making.
Okay, but
let me do a true confession here. Aliyu Saki, I'm sorry. This country here, they can make people learn a hard way. Things that you're supposed to do, if you don't do it, they will compel you. They will force you. So when they are billed, do you, if you not pay it, they ain't get time for you. Whether you forget or you get million problems, you think about local election, you don't pay it. It's a one click. So I don't know what Saki, if you are situated, we have maybe 20 minutes to go now. So I will just copy this link and put it. Ali, if you want to come on, that's fine as well. Let me just do it here, but I didn't even realize that I was supposed to pay this thing here. Whoever. So let me. What am I doing here? Okay. So this whole Jala thing here, is there any room for him again, or that's just going to be the end of it?
Room for me.
I mean, by the Lofian. Do you think can they have a second thought about him at some point in time, regardless of what is going on now?
I don't. Here's the thing here, because
we just have a little time here. If you want to chip in the last 15-20 minutes, that's fine. That's it. You can copy and paste Aliyu Saki and Jonah or whoever here. So we're just gonna put. Yeah, I'm thinking. I don't know why I'm worried about it, but with this here, our people, they this sometimes they punish people, but they get a conciliatory mind. Do you think the elders, these traditionalists, people like you, will you have a second thought about him at some point in time in his political career? I think that's the fourth time. The woman say, my man, they think here, lead here.
I'm actually having a second thought for him right now. I think that how you call customer service.
Second thought where? Second thought where?
No, I'm already thinking. You said can we give him a second thought? Can me like people?
Yeah.
I'm saying yes. I'm already thinking about him, because I'm thinking when you call customer service, right? If you had a bad experience, that's the only time you call customer service. The person who answers the call, that person does not own the company, but you end up yelling at them, blasting at them for what did not go right, simply because you are unhappy with the bigger picture, the bigger company, and they, in that point, represent the company. And so Jala got the brunt of this pushback, not because of his personality, not because of anything wrong Jala has done to people in Lofa, that he needs to apologize for nothing. Jala only got his pushback because people saw him as the reflection of the CDC, and people are saying the CDC, for good, bad, or indifferent. I am not saying anything about whether they're wrong or right, but they're saying the CDC.
Was it a fair judgment on the part of people, whatever way, even though we don't know how this thing gonna go, but that sort of conclusion that they have reached about him, is it fair?
Well, in politics, I don't know what you mean by fair though, because politics is about messaging, and there's no such a thing as a fair messaging in politics. You know, he allowed people to frame him the way they frame him. He allowed that. So I don't know about fairness in political speech. You know, you can frame your opponent however way. If they don't push back or if they allow you to do it, then that's on them. You paint the picture and they agree with it. That's it.
And so it's not an issue about fairness as he's saying. It's a narrative. The narrative, the message. If Mr. Jala, Councilor Jala, would have gone back to the people and to define himself, but he allowed the people to define him. And now that's one of the biggest mistakes in politics. When you allow people to define you, then it becomes an issue for you. So if he
lets you with damage control, you would just be explaining it and you lose track.
Back and say, look, I'm a son of this place here. What the government did, I was not involved. I was not part of the party at the time. Whatever decision they took against my brother, I was not part of it, and I will not do anything, form or shape to undermine my brother. You people know us, our culture and tradition will hold fast that I will not harm my brother. I was not part of it. I'm son running for this position. Look at me just how you have been saying me. That, but he didn't do anything like that.
Sese, is that you think he didn't make his, like what Joy's saying, do you think he didn't make his case enough to Lothians to say, hey, to set himself apart, even though he was being labeled, stigma, being placed, he being a line and all of that? Do you think he didn't do enough to?
He didn't do enough. You know what he reminds? You know who he reminds me of? Remember Howard Dean, the Democratic Party former governor that was Vermont, that was flying. He was flying high, and then one speech, and then we're on to Texas. Whoa! And then people took that and said he's an angry man, and that derailed all of his political chances because he allowed people to define him and set him up as an angry man, and that was it. Had it not been for that, we would have had a President Howard Dean because he had a jet steam at his back. So it is the same thing that happened with and again, I wanted to respond to, while answering your question here, there's a comment in here. No, LPR is not saying that Councilor Jala has lost the race. No. That is not what LPR is saying. We are saying here as independent pundits on this show that if Jala loses, these will be the reasons why he will be losing. Okay, LPR has not made a pronouncement about who's won the elections. As a matter of fact, Mr. Soe said we're waiting. We already talked about we're going to be waiting till maybe Monday. And so there hasn't been any pronouncement official from LPR.
We just Mr. Peters, Prince Peter, we just had our correspondent was just reporting and told us that tomorrow they're going to be having, and they don't even have a timeline. So where will we come from? I was just only saying based on what we know so far, and Jala is being defined, whether Lothians can have a second thought of him. Who knows? Well, 2023, he could be anybody. He could be called elsewhere, not necessarily maybe a candidate for Lofa, but he could say, I want to be president, or this party can say, I want to be a vice president, And the point that Mr. Uncle George was making on that, I don't think at those political rallies, the councillor took the time to lay out his pedigree for the Lofa people. Because he did not. They all got caught up in this euphoria of this what's the thing, stadium style campaign. Everybody do the battle cry, and you say a few things and you go. Because had he laid out his pedigree, had he laid out his progressive credential from the days of fighting along with the likes of Amos Sawyer for whatever liberation they were fighting for. And he laid out everything he did when he worked for the Ellen government. And he laid out everything he's done defending poor people in Lofa County. And he done that and laid out his pedigree. I don't think this narrative about him being a sedition would have carried much weight. But I don't think he pushed back on that much enough with his own pedigree. So he was not highlighted enough. He did not lay out his CV enough. And so the stigma held. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Let's see here.
I've spoken to the people.
We pick our comments. What? W 5 favor T blade.
That's my best comment of the night, just so you know.
Yeah, and that's what I put it up. Because why would somebody first of all follow something that is stupid?
Mr. So that's my best statement. Don't analyze the man's statement.
Oh no, I'm glorifying him because I think we need to yeah, you can call.
Yep, that's his analysis after listening to us. That is his
analysis. So that you can say that we hitting or whatever. But hey, my tablet, okay, to help us to make it right. All right. Good morning or good evening, whatever you are. I like your quote, by the way. I know that's a.
That's a bow tie. That brother looked like he was going to an all black tie event. You know what you said against me, right? When you write these kind of comments, how you expect people to interact with that comment, right? So for me, I just read it and go, okay, because there is, how do I enter this conversation? So yeah.
But this so fine. If the results, either side, if they don't get half of what some of us got, then I would start wondering that Samboka could be the face of Lofa County. Because the vote that Samboka got, it was a higher, I think, thus far, saying, I don't know, Lofa, the declared county or so, whatever. And if Honorable Joseph Walker and the Kenneth Cottoman cannot get half of that vote, then the political dynasty will start changing in Lofa, because Samboka went into Lofa. Daron did not go there. Ocha did not go there. Benina Yue did not go there. Yomli Kanga did not go there. And he was able to win that landslide, massive win. This time, Honorable Boakai, Dillon, Ocha, Yomli Kanga, Benina Yue. And if that candidate, if he wins and cannot get half of that vote, then politically, people should start asking the strength of Honorable Boakai now in Lofa County. And I would say, I'm waiting because I know they will not come close to Bonnie Samboka. If that case now, I think Bonnie Samboka will start looking at himself as someone to take over Lofa. But the only thing,
when you say took over Lofa, how?
As a statement, people now who they will look up to, that when he speaks, Lofa move.
But
you really think that nobody's going to get 20,000 votes in this election? You really think so?
Plus,
with this sort of number here, I mean, definitely.
What you call?
They're going to beat Samuka numbers, so there's no way that nobody's not going to hit 20,000.
I think I see him as one of a restrained politicians, because I don't see him in the picture in all of this thing here. He's somebody who, somebody that me, you take it from me, I'm going to be all out there and put somebody in. So why he decided to just remain quiet? Is there a reason somebody can get?
It might be A, maturity, and B, he's setting himself up to be the heir apparent to Joe Boakai, and so you don't want to start creating enemies too early, because you go out and you endorse one person, now you just created a problem for the other people that are in the race. So I think he's trying to set himself up as the political heir apparent to Joe Boakai, and so you got to play neutrality for a little bit.
Yeah. Come on, Josh.
Yeah, but there's a factor for Brennan, because I don't know the political feature, because give and take. He was convicted by the highest court in Liberia. So I don't know what the law would say if he wants to run again for any political office in Liberia, because like or not, he's a felon.
Yeah.
So I would like the legal people to address that. Whether he still have the chance to run for any political office in Liberia, because the constitution says you have a clean record, no criminal record, and now he's a convicted felon. So, what his political career future look like in Liberia? Would the people say,
so there's a whole confusion about that, right? Did the president pardon him, or was his sentence commuted?
He was commuted.
It was commuted.
Yeah, but even you can pardon a man, but he was convicted. So you cannot, if you pardon, you can't move that criminal record.
So
you can't move it.
You sure about that, Mr. Judge?
You can't move it.
Well, we will follow through.
You can't.
But part of that, I think part of that, there was one thing possibly could have saved Brani. And I listened to that interview with, and I mentioned that here yesterday or so, we had a conversation there with Spoon. He was very conciliatory. Everything, his argument, at the end of the day, he was throwing it at the president. Clemency. Only the president can intervene. Only the president can do this. That did not happen. I see that as a big disappointment for him, because when that happens, once the clemency is like going to put somebody on the firing squad, the president can come out. I don't care whatever crime that you commit, right? The president can come out. There was a case here, the guy who was over K-12 midnight, and then the grant clemency. If the president comes out to say, okay, you know what? I'm taking my executive gavel and we grant Brandon clemency.
But even Michael Flynn, right? General Michael Flynn,
right?
Lost all of his national security
exactly
clearances and stuff. You know, you get those presidential pardons, so that is
way
within the powers of the president.
Who's going to do that now? Probably, I don't know whether it can happen now, but subsequently it could happen if there's any change that we don't know what are going to change. But I think that's the only. I think that's the only life jacket for him now.
Yeah,
life-saving jacket for him.
And he was at that end of this line.
Only the sitting president can undo this now. You know. Other than that, I see it to be a long thing to go with.
Yeah, but he's free. He's free. But the issue here, can the president go and say, scrap the record of the book? The president said, hey, you're free. You're not going to jail. But
that's part of the clemency. When the president, when it's free, that means money, everything now, he just become, that's just the clemency. It's just like when you kill, even though the crime is being committed, but when they grant you that clemency, we have to look into that, whether it still allows you to seek the office, or the law going to have a different interpretation to that. That I don't know yet.
I'm gonna stay in my lane on this one.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I'm gonna stay in my lane on this one.
That's what. Right. Because even if
okay, gentlemen, we're going to call it evening of. We are waiting again. There's no proclamations on this network. There was no any formal announcement on this network. There's nothing announced on this network that there is a winner. We just spoke of our guy based in the other man. I think the guys are very exhausted. He was sleepy. But we're going to follow through tomorrow afternoon to whatever time it is to see. We all want to know, because we want this whole thing to just come to a settlement, let the people of Lofa and let Liberia move on. So we don't want to be distracted with this one thing here. These people who wants to go on the airflow, we need to start knowing their agenda. We need to know what they represent, the kind of people around them, the face of their government, the kind of ministers and the kind of people they're going to bring in. Those are the kind of conversation we want to be having. We want this whole Lofa thing to come and go, so that we're focused and redirect our talking point to some of those presidential hopeful and what it brings to the table. Gentlemen, Amos Joyce, our man, sister, I want to thank you so much as usual for your opinions and views expressed in the ongoing process in Liberia. We want to thank all our viewers, your comments, whatever say here. Again, whether you treated anything, you don't need this. The taboo we have here, we don't create a talking point that because you are this party or this party to satisfy you, to hold you to our network. No, that's not what we do. We don't do that. Sometimes we talk things that you don't want to hear, but we tell you things that you need to know. And feel that is important. Does that mean everything 100%? That's not either my argument. But we are very, very much proportionate into our conversations. Gentlemen, I want to, let me give you a heads up, because there is a guy on this network. You have not had the opportunity to interact with him. He's a liberal. He called himself liberal progressive. Probably you are following him. Believe me, he's calling me behind the scene. And he like, oh, you now bring another, I don't know how he began to pull you into a category already. And he would definitely display that, believe me or not. I'm just giving you a heads up.
I'm going to be the independent. I hope he sees me as the independent.
Oh, no, that's not his calculation right now. I'm telling you. So when he comes here, he's going to say it. He's going to call you name. He's going to do this. And the man say he was this, but how he looked at this? Oh, that man from Minnesota, he's from so. That's the work and that's the titles of the liberal progressive. But you're going to be with us here very soon. Gentlemen, I want to thank you so much. We are all keeping eyes on the process in Lofa. All we want a peaceful process, and let Liberia be at peace. We want people to represent us in the House of Elders, and not just only going there for their political parties or their leaders and things, but they should represent their interests. We saw what John McCain did in his dying bed. It was not because if it were all about Republican, he could have done it the other way around, but he put the interests of his country and his constituent. And when you get out town, I know Donald says, man, this guy here, hell no, he's never going to be my friend. Gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for your time this evening. Any closing remark before we let you go? Anna, are you?
Yeah, I'm just hoping for peace in Lofa County. At the end of the day, we are still one family. Lofa is a big family. Win, lose, or draw, whoever is the winner becomes an elder. And we all have to follow that elder and hope to advise that elder and make sure that our people benefit. But we have to remain peaceful, and may the best person win when the numbers come out.
Okay, may the best person win. That's what we want to know.
And I just want to say to the leaders of Lofa County, let everybody be careful. And what Honorable Mama Fofana did was not, I don't think was appropriate to start congratulating another person when she don't have full results, because these are the things that spike confusion within the county. If you drive, just say thank you, congratulate people, and wait. But when you start going to call people that are congratulating that they won, these things sometimes can turn to different things. So people must be careful. This is election politics. This is people's life you play with, because some people can go the extreme. So officials, those that ran or in this campaign, they have to be very careful to tone down the rhetoric, because at the end of the day, everybody will have to come together. And to move forward, so we have to be very careful what we say as officials and even leaders with the different institutions. And I don't know, so did you see what the guy from Lofa County, what they say, what? 2.7 million now revenue, what logs have been taken out of Lofa County, and now officials speaking about it.
You see, that's the next, after the election, I think that's the next thing we need to start talking about,
Yeah. News is all about current events. Right now, more or less, every focus is on this year. So we want to keep that.
That's money that could have been in the coffers of government to help with some hospitals or some stuff. But yeah, I saw that. I really felt bad. But I think we can, after the Lofa election, we got a whole lot to have a discussion on here.
Okay, guys, gentlemen, I want to thank you so much and have a pleasant evening. Pa George and Sissy, thank you so much for being here. Okay, folks, that's how we're going to do it. We want to thank you so much for your time. Verat, Sarot, Momo, Sanot, McDonald, Abraham, Bentu, Klubo, Prosper, Edward, Samuel, Richie Hammond, Madam Hammond, one of our prime-time viewers, listener, follower. Thank you so much. Josh, what? No, we are not employed as No, that's not what we're saying. We have explained that already. Who are we? We're not NEC to declare it, and even if our folks bring it, there will be a way that it will be coined, and we can't just come out to be definitive to say this is the person is the winner. No, I don't. We have not reached that level. We will never do that. We are not a mouthpiece for any political party or individual to try to provide fair, objective, and analysis that we understand within our own context, which of course you don't necessarily have to say to suit your political taste or your direction that you want to go. But we try to do the best we can. And that's why we talk to our folks on the ground and we listen to them. I meant I do boycott 5 favor to our guys. So hopefully next time we will make the show much better. If it is stupid today, I don't know. I don't know the taste and quality of something being stupid, but we wholeheartedly welcome you to make up here. And by the way, to go to our inbox and send us your comments, your tweet. If there's anything that we need to fix, definitely. We always have a room of accommodations, but not to move in your direction because some of you are politically driven. There's no open mind. You already have your decision made, then that's where you're going to be a little bit dicey one in order to have. But if it's objective fair, like I say, I want to fix the phone next time. And I made a true confession here is all because I didn't do what I was supposed to do and I never realized that. Because that was very weird that people were not calling in. But a guy that I called from Liberia, from Lo-Fi, remember it was on a WhatsApp, so hanging on Wi-Fi allows me to place a call, but I didn't just realize. But guess what? Tomorrow I'm gonna get it fixed. That's what happened in the country when you're supposed to take on your responsibility. When you get T-Mobile, Live Mobile, Verizon, whatever, you're supposed to pay it when it's due. If you don't pay it, they're not gonna call you. They don't care whether your mom's sick or your pa's sick. No, they put a business at the click of a one button, they're gone. So I learned the hard way tonight. All right, so I'm gonna take care of that. We have sincerely apologized. It was not on purpose, gentlemen, especially those of you who try to place your call. We don't usually do that. We are not selective in picking a call, whether you agree or disagree with us. This is a sort of discourse. Alone, our conversation is in a civil context. You listen to me, I listen to you. You can call me ugly, be here, be nose. That's nothing. It's nothing. I've told somebody that too, so why people can't even tell me that? I want to thank you so much for your time this evening and have a pleasant evening. We pray that the process in Lo-Fi. And that's how we're going to leave here this evening. We're going to leave you with the sound of Joseph Bowers and Chief Praises, are two Liberian gospel artists based in the West African state of the Republic of Liberia. Until then, have a pleasant evening and be safe.
Hallelujah. Giving, hallelujah. Giving the highest praise. Hallelujah. Giving the highest praise. Hallelujah.